So the first thing I'm going to do is right click on this front viewport and I'll right click on this wireframe text and then choose viewport background. So there are three different areas. I clicked on the wireframe and then viewport background, configure viewport background, use file, and I'll select this chess piece, open, and press OK. Actually, let me match it to the viewport. Right click again on the wireframe, viewport background. I'll say match viewport. I can match the bitmap. Okay. I'll save this. So I'm going to start by creating a 2D shape. Create 2D. I'm going to go to line. I can do it part this, part that, but I'll just go line. So that's going to be a point. I'm just going to click. I'll click and drag there. That's a curve. That's going to be a point there. I'm going to click. I'm going to click and drag there. That's going to be a curve. Click. That's going to be a point. Click and drag here. Click. I'll keep the base flat. If I press shift, I can get a straight line. And the close spline, yes. Coming here. I might actually go to my viewport and say match the viewport, and then I can see the base as well. Before I proceed, I'll save it. I'm going to use the scale tool to slightly scale this up and use the move tool to move it up. I'll place them on the level later. I'm going back to create line, create 2D shape line. Click. If I press shift, I come straight. That gives me a straight line. Helps in the swing. Click. Click. Then come inside a bit. Then this one will be a click and drag, so I get a curve. This will be a click and a drag, so I get a curve. Maybe I should try to get a groove here. There's a groove at the bottom. I'll just try to get a groove here. Then click and drag, click, 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 click. So I've got that outline. The horse is going to be in two parts. The bottom part is a round base. So click and drag for the curve, click, and then there's a click and drag there, click, and there. Now the top part is actually going to be a 2D shape. I'm just going to extrude it. I'm going to cheat there. So I'm just going to make an outline of the horse. I'm just tracing the horse, just using click and drag. So when I need a curve, click and drag. When I don't need a curve, just a click. So click and drag, curve here. So I come to the tangent. I come here, click and drag. I come to the top, click and drag, and I come here, click. That's the 2D shape. Now this one we will create the notch later, but we certainly need a button on top. Click and drag. Click and drag here. Click, 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 click and drag here. a click, and then a click and drag on top, and finally close the spline. So I've got a cross section of it. This next thing also is very similar. So click and drag to first get that. I'll work on the frills later. And finally the king. The king, again, the cross will be a separate piece. Is it a cross or a star on top of the, it's a cross, right?
Yes.
Just create one rectangle, and I will pull out across from there. I'll refine it and pull out across. I'll just make a copy of it. If I press shift and I rotate it, I'll get a copy of it. Now for the bottom part, going to do the same thing. The trick here lies only in the outline. That's the trick. Okay, so I've got all my shapes there. I'm going to save this before it crashes on me. I'll go to Alt B, which is my background, and say remove the background for now. Those are my shapes. I'm going to go to modify, select this guy, open the modify, go to vertex. I just want to get this guy perfectly aligned so that when I swing it, it's really perfect. And one way to do it is I can select both of these guys and give them the vertex value. So that's about 170, that's about 170. I can select both of these and say both of them should be at 170 minus 170, and that guy is at minus 170. So that's perfectly aligned. Now when I apply the lathe to this one, lathe with minimum, you will see that's my pawn. Yeah? In all respects, height, ratio, everything, because I traced it. The next guy. Now there's a depression out here on top. It actually goes down. So I should really, and I didn't do that, I should go to refine and make one point here. And I'm going to take these 2 points. So I'm just going to turn refine off, select these 2 points and move them a bit down. Oh, actually I need one more point, refine here. And that point I'm going to move, turn refine off, take, oh, good thing I saved.
What is your crash?
My laptop is a very crappy laptop. Your machines are better than my laptop. But it's okay, I will get it done.
Slightly.
Okay, so I think we are back. I'm just going to open up my file. So the first one, I went to Alt B and removed the background. I took this first shape, just made sure that all of these were in the same points, the vertices. So I just went to move, and I could give it a value of -170. I can type it in, and that way both of them are exactly in the -170 alignment. If they're aligned perfectly, it will lathe perfectly, minimum and weld core. You can see there I'm done. If I don't weld my core, you will see some stuff coming on top. So I'm just going to weld my core, save it again. This one I need to make a bit of modification. So I'm just going to go to vertex, refine, and I'm going to put 2 points there. I'll turn refine off, go to move, and these 2 points I'm just going to move them down. And now I'm going to apply the lathe modifier here. Again, minimum and weld core. So that's my castle. The horse has 2 parts. The bottom part, I'm just going to lathe it. Again with minimum, because I've made the right side. And with core weld. 16 is okay, you can make it better. For the top part, I'm actually going to apply bevel. So bevel allows me to have an extrusion, see that? So level 2 gives me the thickness, level 1 gives me the bevel, the chamfer. So 1, 1 and 1 and -1 gives me that edges. Can you see that edges here? This edge? Can you see the highlight? That's the bevel. That's what 1 -1 does. And 1, 1 does that on the other side. Now in the top view, I'm just going to move it. It's not sitting in the center. Now it's in the center. So now that's my horse piece. I'll just select both of them and give them the same color so that they can sort of look the same. That's one way of doing it. It's a cheat way of doing it. This guy can also go for a lathe. Again, minimum. And so too these two. I'm going to save all of them. So I've got my chess pieces just by tracing. You can see the trick was only the outline. Let me get a bit geeky with this one. See, it's something like this. I can convert it to an editable polygon. And if I press function F4, first let me save it. Function F4, I can see the polygons. Now you know I can take some of these polygons and push them downwards. So I'll take 2, leave 2, take 2, leave 2, take 2, leave 2, take 2. I can actually what I'll do is I will use an extrude function and push them outwards. That will work better. See that? So I get a bit of a castle-y feel. So that works for me. Coming here, I need a cross on top. I will delete these. I'll just use a box. So I can come here and I can create a box from the front view. So that's a box. and I can use the angle snap, and if I press the shift key and I rotate it, I get a second box. I'll call it an instance, because when I then change its length, width, it will affect both. If you call it an instance, then you change one, the other instance will also get affected. Oh no. Did I save it? Anyway, I'm going to stop my recording. You got the idea.
Yeah.
Okay.